Only Boost Mobile.
Boost Mobile?
We'll give you a free year of service.
Free year?
When you buy a new 5G phone.
New 5G phone?
Enough.
But I'm your hype man. When you purchase an eligible device, you get $25 off every month for 12 months with credits totaling 1 year of free service. Taxes extra for the device and service plan. Online only.
Hi, this is Kim and Penn Holderness from the Laugh Lines podcast. Boost Mobile offers the same nationwide coverage, network speed, and service consumers are used to, but at more affordable prices. Why pay more if you don't have to?
Boost Mobile offering reliable nationwide coverage backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Love your service or get your money back, no questions asked.
While other carriers blow millions on Super Bowl ads, we put that money to work for you, delivering reliable 99% nationwide coverage at affordable prices.
Start saving on wireless today with Boost Mobile's unlimited plans starting at just $25 a month.
The Boost Mobile network, together with their roaming partners, cover 99% of the U.S. population. 5G speeds not available in all areas.
Visit your nearest Boost Mobile store or find us online at boostmobile.com.
Customers who cancel within 30 days of activation will have Boost service fees refunded. Activation fees, if applicable, and phone payments will not be refunded.
Hi, this is Paige DeSorbo, and today I want to talk to you about Boost Mobile. So you're thinking about upgrading to the amazing new iPhone 17 Pro, the most powerful iPhone yet with 8 times optical zoom, but are you also thinking about the traffic on your way to the store or transferring all your data? Well, good news. When you order a new iPhone online with Boost Mobile, they'll send an expert to your home or work to deliver your brand new iPhone 17 Pro and get you all set up on Boost Mobile within minutes. No hassle. Visit boostmobile.com to get started. Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com. Terms apply.
Only Boost Mobile.
Boost Mobile?
We'll give you a free year of service.
Free year?
When you buy a new 5G phone.
New 5G phone?
Enough.
But I'm your hype man. When you purchase an eligible device, you get $25 off every month for 12 months with credits totaling 1 year of free service. Taxes extra for the device and service plan. Online only.
Hey folks, it's Mark Marin from WTF. Today I want to talk to you about Boost Mobile, offering reliable nationwide coverage backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Love your service or get your money back, no questions asked. Boost Mobile offers the coverage, network speed, and service you're used to, but at more affordable prices. Why pay more if you don't have to? You can get an unlimited plan for $25 a month that will never increase in price, ever. No price hikes, no multi-line requirements, no stress. Visit your nearest Boost Mobile store or find them online at boostmobile.com. After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 per month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
The door gave way with a splintering crack as Stockholm police forced entry into the small flat in the Atlas neighbourhood. Inside, the air was thick and still. A single lamp cast a long shadow over a strange and gruesome scene. A woman's lifeless body lay face down across a low bed, entirely naked. Her dark hair obscured her face, and one arm was tucked underneath her, as if she'd been resting moments before death. On a chair beside the bed, police found her clothing neatly folded in a tidy pile. An eerie touch of order amid the violence. It was immediately clear to the officers that the woman had been dead for some time, likely 2 or 3 days. Blood had seeped from a large wound on the right side of her head and dripped onto the floor. Yet the scene was oddly clean and quiet, beyond the immediate area of the body. There were no signs of struggle in the modest one-room apartment. No overturned furniture, no broken glass, nothing to indicate a fight. It was as if death had arrived with unsettling calm. I'm Sarah Powell, and this is Obscurata, because some stories have no ending. The victim was soon identified as Lily Lindstrom, a 32-year-old local woman who lived alone in this Atlas area apartment. Neighbours knew Lily as a divorcee who made her living as a sex worker, discreetly entertaining clients in her home. Lily's room was the only one in the building equipped with a telephone, which had earned her the nickname the call girl among residents, not just for her profession, but because she literally had a phone to take calls. Usually, the lively young woman kept a regular routine and stayed in close contact with her friend and downstairs neighbour, Minnie Jansen, who was also a sex worker and Lily's confidant. So when Lily hadn't been seen or heard from in days, Minnie grew concerned. Just a few days earlier, on the evening of April the 30th, 1932, Minnie had been the last person to see Lily alive. That night, around 9 p.m, Lily stopped by Minnie's door to borrow some condoms, mentioning she had a client waiting upstairs. A short while later, Lily returned again, asking for a second condom. The first had apparently broken during use. Minnie obliged and watched her friend head back up to her apartment with a playful roll of her eyes. Such requests between the two women were not uncommon in their line of work. That was the last time anyone saw Lily Lindstrom alive. When Lily didn't drop by or call the next day, Minnie initially brushed it off. The city was abuzz with Walpurgis Night festivities. April the 30th to May the 1st is a traditional spring celebration in Sweden, a carnival-like night of bonfires and merriment. Minnie assumed Lily might have gone out to enjoy the holiday with a client or other friends. But as one day without contact turned into 2, then 3, Minnie's worry deepened. She knocked on Lily's door repeatedly, no answer. She even tried calling Lily's telephone from a neighbour's line, but the calls went unanswered. By May the 4th, 1932, 4 days after Lily was last seen, Minnie could no longer ignore the knot of dread in her stomach. Something was wrong. She went to the police and begged them to check on her friend. Now that fear was confirmed in the most horrifying way, the officers cautiously approached Lily's body on the bed. Even to untrained eyes, the head wound was grievous. A gash on the right side of her skull, extending from her temple down toward the neck. Congealed blood marked the path of the injury. It looked as though Lily had been struck multiple times with a blunt, heavy object. The blows had crushed her skull with fatal force. Later, a medical examination would conclude that blunt force trauma to the head was the cause of death. Lily had likely never seen the first strike coming. Based on the wound shape, investigators suspected a round pipe-like instrument might have been used. But curiously, no murder weapon was found at the scene. The killer had probably carried it away, along with any immediate fingerprints or obvious evidence. As detectives began to process the room, they noticed a frustrating lack of forensic clues. As one investigator later noted, there were no fingerprints, empty glass, no hairs or cigarettes left behind. The room was unnaturally tidy, given the brutality of the crime. Lily's own clothes were folded neatly on the chair where she'd left them before her ill-fated encounter. It was as if the killer had meticulously erased himself from her apartment after the murder. But there were some unmistakable traces of the killer's presence. Intimate and disturbing traces. Officers examining Lily's lifeless form made a lurid discovery. A used condom was still partially protruding from her lower body, indicating that sexual activity had taken place almost immediately before or during her death. This gruesome detail left little doubt that Lily's final client of the night, the man she had borrowed condoms for, was also her killer. The implication was that Lily might have been attacked in the very midst of intimacy, caught utterly off guard by a sudden blow to the head. Further supporting this, the forensic doctor who performed the autopsy later found one of the borrowed condoms still inside her between her legs. The presence of semen and other bodily fluids was obvious, evidence of a sexual encounter that, in another era, might have provided DNA to identify the assailant, but in 1932 was simply logged and stored with little hope of tracing the culprit. Investigators collected what they could, swabs of what appeared to be saliva glistening on Lily's neck and bare shoulders, hair and nail clippings, the condom wrappers Minnie had given her, all of it carefully preserved as evidence. At the time, however, these samples were frustratingly useless. Modern forensic techniques were decades away. In that pre-DNA era, an abundance of physical evidence could still leave police empty-handed. As the detectives continued their survey of the scene, one bizarre detail sent chills through the ranks. In the tiny kitchenette area of Lily's one-room flat, an ordinary gravy ladle was spotted out of place. It caught the eye because it was smeared with blood, a dark, crusted film lining the spoon of the ladle. This in itself was puzzling. Aside from the blood that had dripped from Lily's head wound, there shouldn't have been many other blooded utensils lying around. Investigators picked up the small gravy ladle, its handle sticky with residue, and struggled to make sense of it. Then, looking from the ladle to the corpse, the unsettling truth dawned on them. Lily Lindstrom's body was virtually drained of blood. Far more blood was missing than what little had pooled beneath her head. In fact, later reports would suggest that most, if not all, of her blood had been removed. Yet there were no obvious means by which the killer could have done this. No large collection of blood at the scene. No evidence that she had been hung upside down or siphoned. Nothing to indicate a typical method of blood drainage. The notion was macabre and seemingly implausible. But there is an evidence bag with the blood-stained ladle, and in front of them lay a corpse drained white. Piece by piece, the investigators put together a ghastly hypothesis. The killer had used that ladle to scoop and drink Lily's blood. Perhaps he had collected the blood as it leaked from her wounds, indulging in a perverse ritual after ending her life. It was a theory almost too grotesque to believe, a real-life vampire in the heart of Stockholm. Word of the shocking crime scene details soon leaked out, and the press pounced. The combination of the neighbourhood's name and the horror of the blood-drinking theory led newspapers to christen the unknown perpetrator the Atlas Vampire. Sweden's tabloids ran wild with the story of the Vampire Mordet, the vampire murder. and the moniker stuck. An ordinary working-class district like Atlas, near Sankt Eriksplan, suddenly found itself the backdrop of a lurid Gothic tale. In truth, the name was apt. The murderer was named for the Atlas area in which the crime occurred, and for his suspected vampiric appetite for blood. Police officers, no strangers to violence, were unnerved by the implications of the evidence. It was as if fiction had bled into reality. Reporters breathlessly compared the case to the horrors of the vampire legend, noting that just the year before, a German serial killer, dubbed the Vampire of Dusseldorf, had been executed for similarly bloodthirsty crimes. Could such an atrocity really have happened in modern Stockholm? The idea of a perpetrator who drank the blood of his victim was almost beyond comprehension. And yet, here it was, seemingly confirmed by the blooded ladle and the condition of Lily's body. The Atlas vampire case had all the ingredients to become infamous, and it did. Police detectives worked methodically to catch whoever had done this to Lily. In the days following the discovery of the body, investigators retraced Lily's final movements as best they could. Minnie Jansen provided crucial information. On April 30th, Lily had paid her rent in the afternoon, and then mentioned expecting a client at her apartment that evening. Minnie recounted Lily's brief visits to borrow condoms that night, confirming that Lily had indeed been with a man in her flat when she vanished from view. Unfortunately, Lily hadn't told her friend the client's name. Discretion was part of the business, so the mysterious man's identity was unknown. This anonymous client immediately became the prime suspect. Police reasoned that he was likely a regular patron of Lily's, or someone from her roster of clients, so they began rounding up and interviewing anyone known to have been acquainted with Lily, especially her recent customers. According to later reports, at least 8 men were brought in for questioning, familiar faces from Lily's world of sex work. Detectives interrogated these men exhaustively and also canvassed the entire Atlas neighbourhood, knocking on doors in search of witnesses who might have seen the comings and goings around Lily's building around Walpurgis night. Had anyone noticed a stranger visiting Lily, heard a disturbance? It seemed impossible that a woman could be murdered in a multi-unit building without anyone hearing a thing. Yet no neighbours reported any screams or unusual noises that night. Perhaps unsurprising, given the revelry of April the 30th outside, but frustrating nonetheless. Lead after lead evaporated. Not one of the men questioned could be tied conclusively to the crime. All of Lily's known clients had alibis that checked out, or simply no evidence linking them to the scene. Forensics in 1932 had little to go on beyond eyewitness accounts and basic blood typing, and there was no database of criminal DNA waiting to expose the killer's identity. The abundance of physical evidence, the saliva, the semen, the blood, sat silently in storage, effectively mute without the means to analyse it. Investigators did note that whoever the killer was, he exhibited a disturbing blend of savagery and self-control. On one hand, he had brutally bludgeoned Lily to death in the middle of a sexual act. A spur-of-the-moment explosion of violence, perhaps. On the other hand, he had then taken the time to carefully clean up after himself, leaving the apartment orderly and free of typical clues. He even folded the victim's clothes and either wiped down surfaces or avoided touching anything with bare hands. This suggested a calculating mind at work. The killer had the presence of mind to remove the murder weapon and any incriminating traces. It crossed some detectives' minds that the murderer might have had a forensic awareness. Perhaps he was even someone with police or military experience who knew how to avoid leaving evidence. In later years, theories emerged that Lily's killer could have been a police officer or someone with knowledge of investigative techniques, given how flawlessly he vanished from the scene. But this idea was pure speculation. At the time, nothing concrete pointed to an insider, and the official investigation did not single out any colleague or cop. It was just one of many frustrating dead ends in a case that made no logical sense. Meanwhile, the press kept the public riveted with each gory detail uncovered. Papers reported that Lily's blood had seemingly vanished, heightening the almost supernatural aura of the crime. Journalists noted there were no classic fang marks on her neck, as in vampire fiction. The killer had not literally bitten her, but the saliva found on her skin suggested a grotesque mix of sexual and cannibalistic impulses. The city, and soon the world, learned how the killer earned his vampiric moniker: by drinking the victim's blood with a gravy ladle, a detail at once absurd and terrifying. In the spring of 1932, the so-called Atlas vampire was the stuff of quiet conversations and nightmarish imagination in Stockholm. People double-checked their door locks. Sex workers in the area were especially fearful, wondering if a predatory madman with a taste for blood lurked among their clientele. But as days turned to weeks, no similar crimes occurred. The anticipated vampire did not strike again. It seemed the Atlas vampire, whoever he was, had vanished into thin air after this one terrible killing, a one-off apparition of horror. Despite intense pressure, the police investigation stalled. By the end of 1932, authorities had exhausted their leads. They had interviewed neighbours, friends, former boyfriends or ex-husbands. Lily had been married and divorced young, and the long list of men who had passed through Lily's door for business. Every angle led nowhere. The case gradually went cold, relegating the Atlas vampire to the realm of unsolved criminal law. In the ensuing years, some armchair detectives and crime writers continued to puzzle over the case. Theories surfaced now and then, each more fantastical than the last. Aside from the rogue police officer theory, others wondered if Lily's killer had been a mentally disturbed individual, driven by some occult obsession or clinical vampirism. The timing around Walpurgis Night, a date associated with old folk rituals and witchcraft, was not lost on those with a taste for the macabre, though it was likely mere coincidence. A more straightforward possibility was that the murderer fled Stockholm immediately, or was perhaps a sailor or traveller just passing through, which might explain why no similar crimes cropped up in Sweden after Lily's death. In truth, no one knows. All that's certain is that Lily Lindstrom's murderer never faced justice, and likely took his dark secrets to the grave. After all, more than 90 years have passed since 1932. If the killer was an adult then, he would be exceptionally old if still alive, unless, as one newspaper quipped, he really was an undying friend in the night.
Only Boost Mobile.
Boost Mobile.
We'll give you a free year of service.
Free year?
When you buy a new 5G phone.
New 5G phone?
Enough.
But I'm your hype man. When you purchase an eligible device, you get $25 off every month for 12 months with credits totaling 1 year of free service. Taxes extra for the device and service plan. Online only.
Every day there's a new challenge to face. So meet Trimble, the technology company that connects your physical and digital worlds, allowing you to make decisions and take intelligent action to get the hard work done. And the best part, you can do it all faster than you've ever thought possible. Check them out at Trimble.com. You ready to turn data points into decision points or turn deadlines into finish lines? How about turning possibilities into profits? Then turn to Trimble.
In the end, the Atlas vampire murder remains an unnerving mystery. All the confirmed facts, a woman dead by blunt force, a condom hanging from her body, a blood-stained ladle, and a body drained of blood, combine into a story almost too bizarre to be real. Yet tragically, it was. Lily Lindstrom's murder is often called Sweden's most bizarre unsolved murder, and it's easy to see why. In the annals of true crime, it stands out as a chilling outlier, a case where reality reads like gothic fiction. But Lily herself was not a myth. She was a real person who met a terrifying end. And as each new person learns about the Atlas vampire, the tale endures, undimmed by time. Nearly a century later, the case remains open in theory, though in practice, it seems destined to remain unsolved. What we do know is this: a killer walked free, leaving behind one of the most haunting crime scenes Stockholm has ever witnessed. In that silent apartment on May 4th, 1932, the police saw evil manifested in an almost theatrical way, a vampire story come to life. And though the Atlas vampire has long since faded into shadow, the legend of that unknown killer continues to scare those who hear the tale. Lily's death may never be avenged or explained, but it will also never be forgotten. The Atlas vampire, whoever he was, ensured that his deed would live on in infamy, a grim chapter in the city's history, forever cloaked in mystery and blood. And that's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so by rating and reviewing, and by visiting patreon.com/The Whispering Woods, where for £2.50 a month, you can subscribe to the Obscurata tier and listen to all episodes ad-free. We are also on Apple Premium, where you can subscribe directly in the app. And for $4.99 a month, you can listen to this podcast and our other podcast, The Whispering Woods, ad-free. I want to say a quick thank you to Rog for fact-checking and editing. And as always, stay curious and sleep with the lights on, just in case.
Hi, I'm Casey, host of the Case File podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about Boost Mobile, offering reliable nationwide coverage backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Love your service or get your money back, no questions asked. With Boost Mobile, you get nationwide coverage and fast network speeds at a fraction of the price. Why pay more for the same great service? Unlimited plans start at just $25 a month, and you won't be sacrificing coverage to save. So why wait? Start saving with Boost today. The Boost mobile network, together with their roaming partners, covers 99% of the US population. 5G speeds not available in all areas. Visit your nearest Boost Mobile store or find us online at boostmobile.com. Money back guarantee. Try Boost Mobile risk-free for 30 days. If you don't like us, you get your money back. Requires port-in and autopay. Customers who cancel within 30 days of activation will have Boost service fees refunded. Activation fees, if applicable, and phone payments will not be refunded.
If you're a Chicago business looking to give back locally, Gardeneers is your kind of nonprofit. We work in under-resourced schools across the South and West Sides, helping students grow fresh food and learn about health, sustainability, and equity. Your corporate sponsorship supports hands-on education, youth mentorship, and the transformation of school gardens into vibrant green spaces. Learn more about sponsorship opportunities at Gardeneers.org and let's grow something together.